Hi, George and Damien. I hope you're happy and healthy in LA. Damien, I'm glad you're safe after yesterday's incident. Yesterday's story had to do with the last conversation I ever had with your grandfather. 24 hours after that conversation, he asked me to do one last thing, and I did it. Someday I'm going to ask you two to do a last thing, and it's going to be this. Help each other smile, watch out for each other, love each other. That's all I'm going to ask of you, okay? So let me see if I can get through today's story in one piece. It's called One Last Thing. The day started as a normal Tuesday, making G&D's breakfast with apple slices placed just so, to form smiley faces on the plate, making a couple of brown bag lunches with dorky notes scribbled on the outside of the bag, dropping the children off at school, returning home to park the car, and walking to the subway station in Davis Square. It's a rather pleasant morning routine. This morning, though, as I'm making my way to the train, a shiver runs through me just after 9:15 a.m. Crossing the road, I begin to slow, almost involuntarily, as a sense of sorrow sweeps through me, a palpable feeling of dread. I stand frozen in the middle of the street. This feeling, it's a physically sickening feeling. I'm lucky, as the act of standing stricken in the middle of the road is accompanied by a lack of traffic. There are no cars approaching as I slowly regain composure and restart my walk. Catching the train, I make my way to work in Boston. Thereafter, the day is a blur, though I remember the most minute details. A coworker flippantly asking me, "Did you lose anyone?" Leaving work to walk the streets in search of a television. Sitting at a bar, watching events unfold on that TV, and then watching them later on the struggling internet. Speaking with my mother throughout the day, her voice always a little too optimistic and a little too chipper. Organizing hundreds of friends and colleagues via emails to call and email my father's beeper with a message. Are you okay? What is your location? Getting hold of my brother on the phone and telling him I love him. Hugging my son and daughter upon returning home that evening, and crying in front of my children for the first time. Then, at 9 p.m., answering the phone. The voice on the other end of the line struggles to remain composed. Hello, this is Jerry Method at Incident Command. I'm looking for Glenn Morgan. This is Glenn, I answer. There is no small talk today. Have you heard from my dad, Mr. Method? He chokes. It's Jerry, sir. Please call me Jerry. And no, we haven't heard from him. We're looking for him now. We have standard procedures in the event of an incident, and he left instructions that we should call you at this number to, let you know he's been out of contact for 12 hours. He hasn't checked in. Jesus, I'm sorry. We heard from him last when he was on Church Street. Jerry pauses. He sniffles before continuing. We think he was at the second command center by the atrium, by the American Express building when the North Tower fell. He had to be with those guys. Some guys made it into the garages, the ones underground. We're focusing our search there. He seems to grasp that I do not know about the current frenzied digging for survivors in the parking garages, and sucking in breath, he stumbles forward. We're looking. We're not stopping. We've got guys literally crawling into voids searching for him, crawling into holes with ropes tied around their waists. Jerry begins to cry. I work to control my breathing, focusing my eyes on the emergency phone number sticker on the phone, holding on to that phone for dear life. As I listen to Jerry cry, the earth shifts and turns, jerking me from my settled stance in a kitchen far from New York City. Teetering, I hurtle backward into a yet-to-be explored void. Light rushes away, forming the tiniest of pinholes as I tumble backward into darkness. Rather than landing, my descent seems to slow, as if I've pierced an unending layer of silt. Fine bits of dirt and molten glass and smoke and stone and steel conspire to engulf me, filling my mouth, my nose, my ears. I begin to suffocate. A sense of loss rushes through me, the force ripping out my eyes, my throat, my hope, and depositing me broken in a kitchen far from New York. I want to scream, but I can't. As if spoken from someone else, words drift from my mouth. Okay, Okay, I get it. I get it. Did everyone else at Con Ed check in, Jerry? Yes, everyone but your dad. I'm sorry. He is such a good man. We'll find him, we will. We're doing everything we can, Glenn, everything. We have hundreds of guys looking for him. He'll show up. You know your dad. Thank you, Jerry. I get it. Look, I gotta go. Thank you for calling. Click. I close my eyes and fight tears, not wanting anyone else in the house to hear this moment. The house is quiet, still. I return the receiver to the cradle and open my eyes. Time stretches as I realize this is the last thing my father is ever going to ask of me. You tell her. Do what you can to deflect the blow that is about to fall on your mother, my wife, my wife of 40 years. If this is what she has to hear, let her hear it from you. In slow motion, I fall forward. My forehead lets loose a dull thud as it strikes the kitchen wall. Leaning against the wall, I watch as a sliver of drool slips to the floor. I pick up the phone and I dial Mom. Georgia, Damien, I love you.